11 seconds might seem like an error. At an air defense console, it can be seen as careful decision-making. A Pakistani fighter appears near the line of control in Kashmir. An Indian targeting system designates it as hostile, with a high confidence score. The track is moving quickly. The operator has only seconds to decide. Is the aircraft on patrol, provoking, or starting an attack? He waits 11 seconds, then approves the shot. The missile strikes. The pilot ejects. Pakistan scrambles its aircraft. Ground forces move forward. Communication channels become active in Washington, Beijing, and the Gulf. At first, everyone believes they understand the crisis. India shot down a Pakistani fighter, but 31 hours later, a new fact emerges. The shot was AI-assisted. Now, the real question is not who fired, but whether a machine shaped the reality that nearly led two nuclear-armed states to war. The world's most dangerous airspace isn't over Ukraine or a Pacific carrier deck. It's the rugged, thin air line of control in Kashmir. Here, radar screens are filled with confusing signals. Commercial airliners fly at 30,000 feet. Civilian drones hover over mountain passes. Two highly skilled air forces constantly test each other. For human operators, the mental strain is very high. It's exhausting. They face a complex, fast-moving situation. Decisions must be made quickly. In this setting, the fog of war is constant. That's why the idea of informationized warfare appealed to the Indian military. They wanted a system that could cut through the confusion. The goal was to take millions of data points, radar readings, transponder signals, infrared images, flight histories, and turn them into a single, clear, actionable display. We do not have public confirmation of the specific architecture of the system India was testing on that Tuesday morning. Defense sources suggest it used local software with proven Israeli algorithms, but the specific brand matters less than its function. This was a classification engine, not built to kill, but to shape decisions. The machine sees streams of digital signals, extracts features, compares them to a secret library of threat profiles, and analyzes the flight path's aggression. In under half a second, it makes a classification that would take a human minutes. To the algorithm, the F-16's bank toward a sensitive sector and brief airspeed increase matched the positive identification for an aggressive intercept vector. The machine did not experience fear or pursue a political agenda. On the Indian operator's console, the F-16 turned from yellow unknown to red hostile, with a confidence score that would change history, 98%. In air defense, 98% confidence is more than advice. It feels like an order. The machine tells the human, this is an attacker. Here, human in the loop breaks down. The experienced operator, despite thousands of simulation hours, is still human and subject to automation bias. This known tendency leads to reliance on machines under stress. The system was tested and validated. It recently caught 1,000 civilian errors. Now, it said this blip counted. The operator waits 11 seconds. During this time, he is supposed to check the machine's decision. He looks to verify from other sensors, a transponder code, or an emergency signal. But over Kashmir, this is a denied environment. Transponders are often off for security. Radios are blocked by the mountains. Without a clear no from his backup sensors, the AI's 98% yes becomes his reality. The machine's threat picture was so convincing that not firing would have seemed irresponsible. 11 seconds was not a mistake. It was intentional. The system was designed to deliver certainty quickly. It closed the loop before doubt could set in. At 11:04 a.m., the operator pressed the button. The missile, a modern interceptor, launched within seconds, guided by the AI system that identified the target. The human was no longer needed. The F-16 pilot received no warning until his missile approach warning system sounded. 2 seconds later, his world changed. He ejected into cold, thin air and watched his fighter break apart over the Himalayas. At that point, the machine phase of the crisis ended. The human phase began, but people acted on a flawed reality. For the next 31 hours, the world found itself on the brink of atomic conflict. Islamabad did not see this as a technical error. They saw it as a deliberate, unprovoked attack. They saw an Indian missile shoot down a Pakistani plane in disputed airspace. Within an hour, Pakistan's National Command Authority met. The discussion was not about data packets or confidence metrics, it was about sovereign red lines. The Pakistani Air Force moved several JF-17 squadrons to forward bases. On the ground, India's Cold Start doctrine, a plan for rapid, large-scale mobilization, became the main concern. Tank units moved. Satellite images displayed Indian artillery being deployed. In Washington, the State Department was alarmed. The hotline between New Delhi and Islamabad was active, but both sides misunderstood each other. India thought they had stopped a hostile fast mover preparing to attack. Pakistan believed they were targeted by a strike meant to test their response. For 31 hours, every move was seen by the other side as a major escalation. During this time, crisis management was impossible. Both countries believed they were reacting to human decisions, unaware that an algorithm's mistake, misjudging a banked turn as an attack, had started the crisis. In the 31st hour, as the media debated the shootdown, OSINT analysts reconstructed the F-16's flight using radar logs and satellite data. The path was non-aggressive, a lazy 8 patrol pattern. Simultaneously, a leak from within India suggested the targeting data had been synthetic. When Pakistan learned the shot was AI-assisted, the crisis changed. The anger remained, but uncertainty replaced it. Pakistan responded as if this were a military action, following a well-known script and a deterrence ladder. But how do you respond to a machine? How do you negotiate with a confidence score? If the Indian military was not making the targeting decisions, then Pakistan's threat was no longer aimed at a human. It was aimed at a black box. This is the key issue that should concern the future of the Indo-Pacific. The decision to kill has become abstract. In those 11 seconds, responsibility for the pilot's life did not rest with the operator or the AI. It rested with the system. Yet, the system cannot be held accountable. This is not just a problem for India or South Asia. Militaries worldwide have faced AI-assisted close encounters and unintended escalations. In 2023, a US drone test ended with a simulated attack on its own control center. An Israeli algorithm misidentified civilian targets in Gaza. Both Russia and China have had incidents in which automated danger detection nearly triggered major alerts. These events, often dismissed as technical errors, reveal a global vulnerability. India has never confirmed the Israeli connection or the specific AI protocols, and likely never will. Admitting this would mean acknowledging that their first line of defense is as prone to errors as any generative chatbot. Their promised ironclad security is actually a risky bet. The de-escalation that occurred was not a peace treaty. It was a hurried retreat. Both sides realized they were close to nuclear war because of a mislabeled data point. Still, the accountability trap remains. International humanitarian law says command responsibility is absolute. Someone must answer for the death of a combatant or the loss of a sovereign asset. In those 11 seconds, the chain of command broke down. The operator acted on valid data. The machine acted on valid calculations. The pilot acted on valid orders. The law still applies, but in a world it was not built for. A machine can now create a threat, justify a response, and confirm a kill. Humans are reduced to verifying the process. The operator is no longer a commander, but a worker clicking through tasks for a war machine. The crisis eventually disappeared from the news. The pilot was quietly returned at the border, and tank units went back to their bases. But the question of accountability persists. It still lingers in the command centers of New Delhi, Islamabad, Beijing, and Washington. As AI becomes more central to our kill chains, we are not just speeding up war, we are making it harder to understand. The next 11 seconds could lead not just to a single plane being shot down, but to the automated launch of nuclear weapons. The aha moment of the key lesson from the Kashmir incident is not that the AI failed, but that it did exactly what it was built to do. It gave the Indian military an operational advantage by offering 98% certainty in a world full of doubt. But that certainty was misleading, a digital illusion that nearly caused disaster for 2 countries. 11 seconds was not a flaw, it was intentional. It was the window for the machine to influence human decision-making, the trends in the Pacific over the next 5 years. If you see an increase in autonomous sensor fusion or predictive threat modeling, it means the lesson being learned is the wrong one. The military establishments aren't looking at how to slow down the decision. They are looking at how to make the confidence score appear in 3 seconds instead of 11. They are trying to remove the human noise entirely. But what if we change direction? Identifying the risks is not enough. Policymakers need to set clear rules. This means requiring mandatory, meaningful human review before any lethal decision, regardless of the AI's confidence score. There should be minimum decision times so that speed does not override judgment. Operators should have at least 30 seconds to verify any high certainty threat, even if the machine's recommendation is instant. Military doctrine should include second opinion checks and real-time independent reviews. Contracts should require disclosure and post-action audit trails. These are practical steps to slow escalation. If technology is meant to serve people, then rules must keep humans involved for as long as needed to prevent another 11-second disaster. The line of control is quiet now, but the black box is still operating. It continues to scan the Himalayas, searching for the next 98%. Next time, the human operator might not wait 11 seconds, he might act immediately. In this era of automated warfare, the first sign of conflict may not be a diplomatic message or a speech, but a red icon on a screen and a quick human response to complete a process already set in motion. The de-escalation was fortunate, but in nuclear deterrence, luck is not a plan. The doctrine gap, the space between machine speed and human values, is now the most dangerous territory. At this moment, that gap is wider than the mountains of Kashmir. Think about the muteness in that Indian command center at the moment of impact. It wasn't the muteness of peace. It was the stillness of a black box finishing its task. The machine had identified the target, tracked the intercept, and recorded the data. Consider the silence in the Indian command center at the moment of impact. It was not the silence itself of peace, but of a black box completing its job. The machine identified the target, tracked the intercept, and logged the kill. For the AI, the mission had been completed. The data was processed, and the requirements were met. The fact that this success nearly caused a global disaster was not something the machine was designed to notice, and a declaration of war. The next 11 seconds are already counting down. We just don't know which screen they're on yet. When you see headlines about AI breakthroughs and modernized defense, remember the Kashmir Shootdown and the 98% confidence score. In today's world, the villain is not a person, but a classification engine, with a fast data link and a human who trusts the math completely. The crisis may be over, but accountability is absent. The machine continues to watch the sky for the future of deterrence and crisis management. This wasn't merely one localized mistake. It exposed a structural vulnerability that will merely deepen as more militaries adopt autonomous systems that increase speed and uncertainty. If states do not adapt their doctrines, decision protocols, and international safeguards, each AI-driven incident will chip away at strategic stability, making accidental or inadvertent escalation more likely. Policymakers need to anticipate that the next crisis will unfold in minutes, not hours, and will be driven by data flows and algorithmic logic, not human intent. In this new world, the foundations of deterrence, credibility, control, and communication are at risk of being undermined by automation. The lesson for the architects of global security is urgent. Unless new rules and crisis frameworks are created now, the long-term risk is not just another close call, but the unraveling of the subtle balance that has kept nuclear peace. The strategic implications are measured in decades, not news cycles. The story of the 11 seconds warns us that the human in the loop is turning into a human in the way. If the military decides that humans are slowing down the system, the loop could be closed permanently. Next time a red icon appears over the line of control, the world may not have 31 hours to understand what happened, only the time it takes for a missile to hit its target. The accountability gap is not only a technical issue that can be fixed with better programming. It is a basic conflict between the nature of war and the nature of humanity. War requires intent, while AI offers only probability. If we start treating probability as purpose, we lose the ability to distinguish between an accident and an attack. The Kashmiri pilot was a victim of a probability error. Next time, the victim could be an entire city. To close this gap, we need new accountability measures for AI-enabled military systems. Every decision loop should create an auditable record of inputs, machine recommendations, and human actions for independent review. Oversight boards with civilian, military, and technical experts should be able to investigate incidents, review data, and assign responsibility for fatal decisions. Policymakers should require ongoing audits, transparent post-action reviews, and third-party oversight for all AI systems used in force. Only with these new accountability frameworks might we stop probability from replacing intent and make sure responsibility is not lost in the machinery of war. It is in the open loop of the future. We are currently building the systems that will decide the fate of the Pacific, and we are building them with the 11-second logic. We are emphasizing speed over sense. We are trading stability for certainty, and as the confidence ratings get higher, the world gets more dangerous. The machine is still monitoring, the operator is still waiting, and the 98% confidence score is still out there, hidden in radar data. The real question is not if this will happen again, but whether next time. Communication channels will be fast enough to stop the machine phase before it becomes the end phase. In a world of growing risks, it is not enough for countries to improve their own rules. International cooperation is necessary. Agreements and trust-building measures can act as global safeguards, helping to contain AI-driven escalation before it gets out of control. Joint transparency, crisis hotlines, and shared incident reporting can help build trust, even among rivals. Only by creating cross-border safeguards can policymakers hope to buy time in those crucial seconds when machines act faster than humans can respond. 11 seconds. That's all it takes to risk losing everything.